Today I'm painting on a precast river rock stone. It's approximately 8 by 5 inches, and this is another stone that was left over from some masonry work that was done on our family cabin. Using my ruler, I'm going to find the center of the stone and mark it, and then I'm going to use my stencil guide to make a line down the center lengthwise. And then about a third of the way up from the nose end, I'm going to make a line across the width of the stone. Next, I'm going to round the corners so it's not just a plain flush line dividing the head from the body. Now I'm going to add Luna's eyes. I really want to add character, like really big character, so I decided to go with anime style eyes. First, I'm going to draw the upper line of the eye, which is shaped pretty much like an eyebrow. And then I'm going to add 3 triangles to serve as the eyelashes. The outer lash being the biggest, and then the next 2 get progressively smaller. And then I'm just going to repeat the same in the opposite direction on the other side. Start at the center between the eyes where the lines cross and draw in some wings, make them even on both sides. And then at the very opposite end, give her a little round curved butt. I guess that's a ladybug's butt. I'm really not sure about the bug parts, but I'm going with it. Now let's draw in the eyeballs. And since I'm going anime style, I want them really big. And after I draw the first eye, I'm going to measure it to make sure that the other eye is close in size. They don't have to be exactly the same. I know human faces are different on both sides, so I would automatically assume that bugs aren't either, but then I guess I've never really looked at a bug's eyeballs so close before, right? Just do the best you can. She's going to be adorable no matter what. Once you've got the eyes all finished, make sure that you like what you've drawn, and that's a wrap. Let's get ready to paint. I'm going to paint in Luna's wings using 3 different colors. Starting with Eggplant, the darkest color, I'm going to go around the edge. And while the Eggplant is still a little wet, I'm going to add my second color, Purple Pizzazz, and just blend it right into the Eggplant. And then while the Purple Pizzazz is still a little wet, I'm going to add in my lightest color, the Lilac Meadow, and give that a nice blend. It's going to give the illusion of illumination. I just love saying that. Illusion of illumination. Say it with me now. When you are painting with sponges, use just enough paint to evenly cover the surface. As you get more comfortable, you're going to know just how much paint you have and whether you should blot it or not. To blot or not to blot? That is always the question. Remember, you can always add more paint as you go, but if you use too much, you might end up with one mixed color and then no transition. Before I get too far into this tutorial, I need to give a shout out to Hadley, my cousin's beautiful daughter, for picking the perfect name, Luna. She said she picked Luna because she looks like the night sky. How precious is that? So thank you, Hadley, and thank you to everyone that came up with great names. You've inspired me to do more ladybugs with all the names you gave me. The lovely Luna, Queen of the Night Skies. I love it. Now that I have the wings exactly how I want them, I'm going to move on to the body while they dry. We'll come back to the wings and add some flair a little later on. I'm using primary blue for Luna's back. Is it called a back? I have no idea, but I'm going with it. So once I have her back filled in, I'm going to add a white highlight at the tail between her back and her butt. I'm not concerned with the space that I've left between the wings and the body because I'm going to outline those areas, but I just want to make sure I don't leave too big of a gap. Okay, let's add that white highlight. This is going to make the transition between Luna's butt and her body look really cool. And I guess we could look at it like instead of having headlights, she's got hiney lights. And just remember, blending takes time, so try not to get frustrated. If it all starts to turn into one color, just let the paint dry for a few minutes and start over. When you blend white into a dark color, start with a very small amount because it's really strong. I don't know if I'm using the right descriptive word here, but I think you get the idea. Basically, just use a small amount of white and add gradually. And if the white begins to take over, add a little bit more of your darker color back in until you have the balance that you want. And just blend, blend, blend. And then when you think you're almost done, blend some more. Also, you can check out my Infinity Butterfly, Leapin' Lizards, and River Rock Heart videos for more tips and instructions on sponge blending. Now, I've tried all kinds of sponges, and these are my favorites. They're Martha Stewart pouncers. These pouncers are expensive, but if you treat them well and you make sure your cats can't get a hold of them, they'll last you a long time. Now, the yellow pouncers with the wood handle, they're pretty much identical in application, and they work really good too, but personally, I'm not very crazy about the handle, and I like being able to quickly flip over my sponge and use the other side. These pouncers are kind of like a 2-for-1. Okay, so once you have Luna's back or tail or whatever it's called blended just the way you want it, you're going to paint her butt in. Now, you'll see later in the video that I changed her butt color a few times, but that's how it goes with art, and that's what's so great about painting. You can change your mind in a flash, and with just one swipe of a brush or the pounce of a sponge, voila, you've changed it all up. Hey, I should coin that phrase and put it on a t-shirt. One swipe of a brush and you've changed everything. Now you can paint Luna on anything you want. It could be bigger or smaller, round or square. It could be wood, stone, canvas, whatever you want. Just remember, if you are painting on anything that is porous, you should definitely prime your surface with gesso to protect your painting. It'll keep the paint from seeping into the material or wood, and it'll also help keep it from fading. All right, moving back to Luna's eyes. I'm using a fine lining brush and a small round brush. And this is just a base coat, and it's going to serve as a guide. After I add her face paint, or should I say foundation, I'll go back over the eyes with a final coat of black metallic. Isn't it amazing how the eyes bring her to life and instantly give her a personality? She's gonna be so pretty. I chose Periwinkle for Luna's face foundation. I love this color. It's not quite purple, it's not quite blue. It makes the most awesome mystical skies, and it works with just about every color you can think of. I'm using my fine lining brush to paint around the eyes, and then I'm going to use a sponge to smooth that line of paint flush. And you can check out my super skinny fine lining brush tutorial and learn how to make your own. It's funny, I was just thinking about how many colors I have of acrylic paint. There's so many. So many. And it's actually kind of ridiculous, really. But I always end up coming back to my same favorite colors. And I wonder if anybody else does that. I've been trying to break that habit by painting with more colors. And to do that, I'm going to be creating a lot more Zentangles and patchwork tutorials. Really try to mix it up, you know? What's not so funny is that I realized my camera wasn't on to record when I added the extreme glitter paint. So you're learning to paint and I'm learning to make videos. What a team. So on this scrap canvas, I'm going to show you how I painted the extreme on Luna's wings and body. I used a fan brush to apply a very thin coat of purple over the wings and blue over the body. Now it goes on milky like glue, but it's going to dry clear with a satin finish. And if you don't have a fan brush, you can use any brush you want, but just make sure to apply a very thin coat. Okay, so back to Luna's eyes. Using my super skinny fine linen brush, I am painting black over her eyes with the black metallic paint. Now the outline of the eyes is still visible where the foundation overlapped a little bit in places, so it's very easy to paint right back over it. And the reason I drew the eyes on and painted them before I added the periwinkle is because I wanted to figure out the proportions of Luna's face and body before I started painting. And then I really liked the eyes I drew on, and I decided to just paint right around them. You'll notice I painted the strip separating the head and the body with teal, and it looks great, but I clipped that part of the video out because I'm going to change the color to black. I wanted to highlight that strip with gold dots, and I just think black's really going to show it off better. And also the edging I'm going to add to separate the wings and the body, it's going to be black with gold dots. And I thought, you know something, this is really going to tie them in together nicely. And just like that, she painted right over that strip. The power of the paintbrush, you gotta love it. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I do not paint this fast. I actually speed up my videos. So please don't try to rush and keep up with this tutorial in real time. Pause it as you need. And you can even use the scrubbing feature to go back and forth through the video if you need to repeat anything. My sister-in-law once asked me, how long does it take me to paint something? And actually, that's a hard question to answer. Sometimes I need to wait for the paint to dry before I go on to the next step. And frankly, I really didn't think that anybody would want to watch my paint dry. But also, I take breaks. I have to go get fresh paint water. I clean out my sponges and brushes. I have to play with my cats. And occasionally I get the, hey honey, where do we keep the, you fill in the blank kind of breaks. You know what I mean? So yeah, take breaks often and don't try to keep up with the speed of the video. Oh, and speaking of water breaks, make sure to keep your sponges in a cup of water if you're not going to clean them out right away, because once that paint dries on them, they are finished. Kaput. The same thing goes for your brushes. Once the paint dries, the chances of your brush ever being useful again are pretty slim. Now, if you have a round brush that happens to get dried out like that, you could always keep it and use it as a dotting tool. But really, it's just best to keep your brushes and your sponges submerged in water until you get a chance to go clean them out. let's add the life to Luna's eyes. Now, these huge anime style eyes, I picked them because people are going to take a look at her and immediately go, oh. And one of the most important features when you're doing eyes is bringing the light to the eyes. And if you go to the internet and you search up eyes and you click on images, you're going to see that every single eye of a living being that you look at has a reflection of light in them. And that's what brings the magic. So you might notice that Luna suddenly has a dotted mouth at this point. And I also edited that out because that's going to change. So it looked cute initially and it was very simple, but after I looked at it later, she looked really grumpy. She was totally frowning. And the mouth was not at all balanced with the size of her eyes. So the lovely Luna, Queen of the Night Skies, is going to get a mouth upgrade a little later on in the tutorial as well. All right, let's start adding some decoration. Using the largest of my small metal dotting tools, I am adding evenly spaced dots all along that black border between Luna's head and body. Now, I want to make sure to reload the paint before I add each dot so that the dots are all the same size. And it's also important to wipe off the dotting tool occasionally when the paint starts to build up on the tip. So keep a towel handy when you're doing this part. You can draw the dots on first if it helps you to space them, or if you feel comfortable, just go freehand. Next, I'm using my second to smallest metal dotting tool to dot all the way along the wing borders and along Luna's butt. Now, if you're new to dotting, you should check out my short dotting tool guide video for more details on dotting tool sizes. And of course, you can go back and look at some of the other tutorials where I've used the dotting tools for other tips and tricks. All right, let's start decorating those wings. I drew freehand circles on each wing just to give me an idea for placement. And I'm going to add the dots using black metallic paint and 3 different size pouncer sponges. Just be careful not to add too much paint or it'll begin to run down the sides if you're using a stone similar to mine. You can always fill it back in with a little more paint, but you don't want too much or it's going to start to ooze down the sides. Okay, so originally I painted Luna's butt black. Then I thought Periwinkle would look really cute to match her face, but ultimately I decided to paint it black again because it really shows off her cute highlighted tail. It's time to upgrade Luna's mouth so it matches with her big, beautiful eyes. I drew on a full set of lips and I made sure to center her mouth with that center gold dot on the stripe between her head and body. And then I'm just going to fill them in with black metallic, kind of like Betty Boop lips. Okay, so you can't have a ladybug without some antennae. Is it antennas or antennae? Either way. So, using my chalk pencil, I'm drawing on a long curled set of antennas and I'm going around the spots because I'm going to be topping those spots with the extreme paint and I don't want to paint across them. I don't want to take away from them. And now I'm going to line them with the same rose gold metallic I used for the dots along her wings and her butt. All right, let's make Luna's spots magical. Using one of my larger plastic dotting tools, I'm going to take the blue extreme glitter and I'm going to place it over the black spots that I applied with the sponges. This extreme paint, it's very thick, so I'm using a small round brush to sort of push the paint around where I want it to be, flatten it out. And I propped her up on the side so the paint won't run down the sides. I don't want to fill the black spots in all the way because I want to leave a black outline because I'm going to cover that with gold dots. And I should mention that I have a fan blowing on Luna right now to get the glitter paint setting immediately so that it won't start to slip. Normally, I would never point a fan at what I'm painting because the paint would dry too fast. While Luna's gem spots are setting, let's add a white line to separate her lips. Now, we don't want the line to go all the way across her mouth completely, or she's going to look creepy, like the Joker. And that isn't really what we're going for, is it? So to get the right width of the mouth strip that we're going to paint on, just split the width of her mouth into 4 segments. Then measure from the center of the lips halfway to one side, and then again from the center halfway to the other side. Does that even make sense? I think it does. You could even just have a very tiny line and she would sort of look like she was pursing her lips. Wowzee! Look at how pretty Luna is looking. Okay, so using my second to smallest metal dotting tool, I'm lining the circles with gold dots. Now, an easy way to evenly space the dots is to start by adding your first dot at 12 o'clock, reload your paint, then add the next dot at 6 o'clock, reload your paint, then 9 o'clock, and then reload your paint once more and dot on 3 o'clock. And then make sure to reload each time you place a dot and add the next set of dots in between the dots you just painted, and so on until it's filled in. I used this method on the 4 smaller spots to demonstrate. Of course, if you're comfortable, just dot away and make sure to space them evenly. All right, my lovely art friends, the last step is the varnish. Now, I recommend that you wait at least a few days before you apply any kind of varnish over the extreme glitter paint. It truly takes a long time for it to completely dry. I'm using an indoor varnish first, just to show you how everything pops. And later I'm going to add an outdoor varnish, probably in a few days, so that Lady Luna can hang out on the patio where ladybugs love to be. You can watch my infinity butterfly tutorial to see how I apply the exterior varnish and protect the patio. Look at how lovely Lady Luna is. She is so amazing. Without a doubt, she is the queen of the night skies. The lovely Luna and I thank you so much for joining us today to Paint with a Passion. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to painting again together real soon. Let me know what you think, and also let me know what you'd like to see in future tutorials. Please remember to subscribe and hit that notification button. I wish you peace, love, and happiness now and always.